Yet despite his efforts to help the toxin, the mutation only advanced up to his wrist. Beyond that, his body's immense strength blocked it completely. Curious, he flicked his finger lightly, a powerful energy shot out, and the desk in front of him was instantly shredded into several pieces. Even Lu Sheng was slightly shocked. All he did was flick his finger. Yet he wasn't expecting this kind of destructive power. It rivaled, and in some ways even exceeded, the power of his stellar immortal body. At the same time, he could sense destructive and chaotic energy coursing through his hand, all concentrated in the mutated cells. It reminded him of his immortal cells, but there was a stark difference. While immortal cells symbolized immortality, these mutated cells represented pure destruction. Either way, both were leagues beyond ordinary human cells. This also explains why the beasts were so powerful. His immortal cells had gone through countless evolutions to reach their current state, while mutating his entire hand hadn't even required 1,000,000 transformations. Then an idea struck him. What if he focused all this mutated energy on a single cell? If it underwent billions of transformations just like immortal cells, could he create something on par with immortal cells? But at the opposite extreme, a cell dedicated to ultimate destruction. He imagined the possibility that perhaps he could get rid of the bad stuff while exploring a new pinnacle of physical evolution while still retaining his human form. But before he could dwell on it further, his hand suddenly erupted with searing pain. The once vital and powerful hand began to wither and collapse, the mutated cells rapidly decaying and being expelled from his body. Within moments, his hand began healing by his immortal cells, then quickly returned to its original state as if nothing had happened. What the hell was that? Why did those cells only survive for such a short time? He understands the vitality of immortal cells was infinitely times greater than that of ordinary cells. While the mutated cells couldn't match that level of resilience, their lifespan shouldn't have been so short-lived either. Then an idea stuck with him. Could it be some kind of rule? Perhaps his earlier theory was flawed, or maybe he wasn't able to use it on life forms in this world because of the rules. It was like how modern firearms were ineffective against high-level beasts, and how the beasts' true powers were suppressed. This is all because of the rules. This toxin, poison, or whatever you want to call it, after ingesting it, causes the host cells to corrode and mutate. And these mutated cells will inevitably rapidly collapse. It wasn't a question of how strong one's body was. Whether 9th level or even 10th level, it was impossible for them to withstand the forced eradication by the rules. In other words, it wasn't the toxin that killed the host, it was the rules. But if that was the case, could he still find a way to harness it? Oof, seems like we will never catch our boy slacking. He will try everything to get stronger. Suddenly, a surge of overwhelming energy erupted within his body. He immediately sensed danger. This power was far too intense to keep building uncontrollably. Just like before, he shattered his own blood core as if forming an immortal cell. The rush of blood energy swept through his body again and again until finally turning into his 8th immortal cell. Taking a deep breath, he couldn't help but wonder where that energy had come from. Though he didn't need to think too hard, the answer was obvious. It had to be the Saint's demise. Even though the mutated cells were obliterated by the power of the rules, the raw energy they contained remained. Glancing back at the vial in his hand, a realization dawned on him. If just one drop held such immense energy, then the entire bottle could be an unparalleled resource for energy. Wasting no time, Liu Sheng repeated his earlier process. The results, however, were surprisingly different. Each time he experimented, his hand took on a new, bizarre form. Yes, you heard that right. Take a look here. This looks oddly like the Parasite anime. Anyway, let's not lose track here. He then tried it again, and this time it was a different mutation. Finally, after several trials, he sat on the ground, catching his breath. The experiments made him consider something even crazier. What if he pushed a single cell to its absolute limit of mutation? Even if the rules tried to suppress him, so what? Rules were meant to be broken. If the rules can affect him, he thought, then it only proves one thing, which is that he was not strong enough yet. The scene shifts to a distant snowy mountain. Meanwhile, two climbers make their way toward the summit. One of them remarked, "So the rumors about an otherworldly peak above Chan Shan Mountain are true." The other shook his head and then pointed to the distance, saying this doesn't even count as the true peak. The real summit lies far above them. Suddenly, one of them noticed a large stone nearby. On its surface were carved the words, "God among men, mortals, turn back." The words suddenly reminded them one of their nation's martial saints was constantly training somewhere in the mountains, and this must have been the place. At the mountaintop, a young man respectfully bowed as a group of black-clad individuals slowly put down a casket. The young man informs that they have brought the body of the fifth lady. Moments later, a man spoke questioning if he knew how she died. The young man replied that her neck was snapped and she died instantly. He then detailed everything Lion Su had done in recent times, leaving nothing out. After hearing the full story, the Jiddo martial saint, we should call him Zhao Jai, sighed deeply. She made too many mistakes. She deserved her fate, Zhao Jai said. The young man next to him interjected, calling Zhao Jai Lord, and explained the lady's adversary was 1,000 kilometers away when she died. But he was certain Liu Sheng was definitely involved in this, or at least had some connections. Zhao Jai waved dismissively, saying, "Since she's dead, just leave it at that." The young man's expression twisted in frustration, believing the lady's death is an insult to the Lord. Not to mention they all know it was Liu Sheng's doing. Zhao Jai placed a firm hand on the young man's shoulder, asking what is he suggesting. Should he disregard all costs just to hunt him down for revenge? The young man hesitated but didn't say anything. Zhao Jai then shook his head, saying, "Although he's a 9th-level martial saint, he is nowhere near God among men. There are rules, and everyone, including him, must abide by them." He explained that Liu Sheng is the military's top prodigy. If they make a move, the military will do everything in their power to protect him. Besides, there's no direct evidence tying him to this. Reluctantly, the young man bowed his head, saying he understood. Zhao Jai turned back to the body of Lion Su, his hand gently brushing her already stiff cheek. Still, he won't let this matter end here, and he will certainly have the military pay a hefty price for this. Just as he spoke, his expression changed sharply. He trembled as he extended his psychic energy to examine Lion Su's abdomen. For a moment, time itself seemed to freeze. Then, in a voice thick with disbelief, Zhao Jai murmured, "So I, Jai, once had a child?" As the words left his lips, although they sounded calm, a powerful energy erupted from him, and soon his body dissipated into nothingness. From the void, a shadowy figure slowly emerged. Stepping out of the void, its aura so overwhelming that those nearby dropped to the ground in terror.